And I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
I'm excited too.
Because it's just, I mean, you are love and you are light, and that's exactly what I am, and that's what we get to bring. And the energy that I know that I'm feeling today is exactly what's needed today.
Yeah. I'm going to light a very special candle.
Yay. Sounds great.
That comes from Ireland. That is literally Bridget's flame. So there's a flame in Ireland that's kept 24 hours every day of the year. And this, there's like, you can see still some of the Bridget stuff.
Oh my God. So cool.
So we'll invoke Bridget with that.
Okay. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I'm going to hit go live. All right, so we are here, and I am so excited to be here with you, Erin, and then with everyone who is joining us live for this Lean Into Love conversation. So this is day 2, but you are my first guest, and I couldn't be more honored and I just say humbled and grateful that like you said yes and the work that you do. And so just as like a short introduction, this is Erin-Sunniva McHugh, and Erin is my teacher, newly my teacher, mentor, and a complete being of love and light. Her soul's work is uplifting and rising up the consciousness of like, this is how I see you, of humanity and what is exactly needed to tap into our own guidance, our own divine potential, our own divine awareness. And she helps not only teach people how to do it, but also give permission. And so to think, when I thought about this idea of lean into love and this idea of a conversation, you were one of the first people that came into mind, because that is who you are and what you do. So I'm so grateful that you said yes. Thank you for
I'm grateful that you asked me. It's a privilege. Thank you.
Yeah. So I wanted to, say that about you, and then also offer you the space and time to add anything of like specifically more about what you do or what you want the world to know about you.
Well, I think for the purpose of this conversation, it's important for me to say that I've been holding space for healing, for transformation, and especially for women for 12, 13 years now. And that ability to create and contain love, right? To hold space, to constantly come back to love is really ultimate purpose for me, and being a priestess of the goddess, of the divine feminine, of the mother Isis, it's easier, I think, to have a relationship with that part of the divine that is so loving, that is really the guide, and so to walk this path that I walk and to guide others on this path is really is tapping into the heart of the mother. That's really what I do and what I teach others to do.
So this is actually so beautiful. So there's, I'm specifically working with like a couple of my clients, and mostly with myself, on right now, like in a place of anxiety and in a place of uncertainty in the world, right? Like I am wanting and craving motherly love. Like that is like, I just want to be held. I just want to be comforted. I just want like that divine feminine energy just to envelop me and love me. And I would love for you to speak on that, of like, how can you do that for yourself? And like, what does that look like? What does it feel like? And what is the divine mother? Can you like, cause this is, I think, like a new topic that's a really big question, but just, I think to bring into perspective, that's not something I've ever talked about, like in this community and in this group or on my podcast. And something that I've recently been called to, obviously, is like, I'm starting to work with you. So I just want to give people that idea, and like, how can they mother themselves, and how can they tap into that motherly love?
Mm-hmm. It's a big question. It is a big question, but it's also really simple. I tap into the mother by asking for her to come. It's as simple as that. It really is, and over time it gets easier and it gets more palpable. But I have had the privilege of experiences with plant medicine that really amplified that experience for me, especially with the roses. So the rose is kind of the representation of the Divine Mother. The perfection of the rose, the smell of the rose, the beauty of the rose. And, if you, let's see here, like the Virgin of Guadalupe, right, from Mexico, the way that this form of the mother manifested for the child who saw her was with roses, that there were just roses like billowing out of this vision that this young man had, right? And I have chills all over my body just talking about it, because just by speaking about her, she comes as well. And she comes in thousands of forms. So every religion, every philosophy has a version of the Divine Mother, whether it's Hindu and they have 1,000 of their own faces of the mother, or it's really simple in Christianity, it comes down to Mother Mary. There are always opportunities to see her, also in nature, right? I mean, if we consider the earth our mother as well, we can connect with her just by putting our feet on the ground, right? For me personally, I ultimately connect with the Mother Isis and the different forms that she takes. Many different names, many different visual representations that she comes in from ancient Egypt. But the reason that I really gravitate to Isis is the power of her wings and the way that they can enfold you. So when you were saying, when you really need the mother's love and you need to be held, I remember as a young girl having that craving from my own mother, who was a single mother and working all the time and really busy, and that craving really lasted in me for a really long time until I developed a personal relationship with the Great Mother, with the Divine Feminine. And when I met Mother Isis, her wings enfolded me, and it was, I felt like being penetrated with that love that I had ached for so long, and that was even bigger than I ever got from my biological mother. That was far, far bigger than the earth even. The Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine are not confined to earth. They are part of the universal one, right? So here on earth, we're playing polarity. In the third dimension, the story that we are living through and also transgressing, like moving beyond, is the dichotomy of the mother and the father. And so part of our process now is coming into union and experiencing what they are as one being in the one, right? In the singularity. But at the same time, it does not take away from her power or his power as well. Like they, you know, I am sovereign, my husband is sovereign, together we're a bigger sovereign being, right? And it's the same with the mother and the father. Stop me at any time.
No, this is so great. So as people are listening to this, like if there's any names that you don't know, right? Like begin researching, start doing your own journey in your own search. Like this is something that I talked about yesterday when I was on by myself, was that right now we're being invited to heal, right? The fear and the anxiety and the thoughts that are coming up around whatever it is, whatever your story is right now, it's just an invitation for you to heal and to lean into it. So one of my biggest things, and Erin, I've talked to you about it, is safety. Like last week was like, I'm not safe, was like what kept coming up. And I was like, wow, I've actually, if I look back at my life, I've felt this my whole life. So how can I create safety within myself, right? And it's an opportunity for you to go on your own journey of how can you heal? What support do you need? Who calls to you? What calls to you? What path calls to you? What rituals and practices and traditions call to you to create that love, that infinite love, that eternal love, that motherly love, right? And that path is going to look so different for so many people. And so I think you're hitting on so many amazing and important things for people to know. And this is, again, like what you do, Erin, is giving people permission to go on that journey for themselves to say, what feels true to me? And as long as it serves you, as long as it creates that comfort and that calm, right? As long as it creates that nourishment for you, then it's the right thing for you. And, and so like, you know, last week as I was like going through, I took 3 days, just like stepped away from everything. And there was one day where I got at the best place that I feel like so calm and so soothed and so loved is in the bath, right? So I like got into the bath with warm water, of like recreating a womb, right? And I just like held myself and I said, I am all right. I am okay. I am all right. I am okay. Right. And I created that space and that ritual for myself. I didn't look outside of myself. It was time to turn within. And that's what this time is it's time to turn within. And so what can we do to do that? And so I'd love to hear from you, you know, as you're talking about like these spiritual experiences, these spiritual practices, how can right now when we are at home with kids, craziness is going on, right? How can we turn within?
Well, you know, you hit it right on the head with the water, because the water is the mother too. You know, it is a conduit for healing energy. You can speak to the water, you know, as you're in it, or when you're getting in it, or while you're preparing your water. Maybe you're putting oils in it or salts or something. Excuse me. You know, really having intention, which is what you had, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm intending to clear my space. You did that for 3 days. I'm intending to take care of myself and hold myself and take this bath and do this. It really does start with intention. And, you know, even when I have a almost 8-week-old and when I'm with him, I am also, you know, generating that field of safety so that he always knows when he's in my arms that he's safe. That, you know, there's the first fear that humans develop when they're born is the fear of falling, because we are so vulnerable. We are completely vulnerable to whomever is taking care of us. And so there is this autonomic, right? This automatic part of our body that is like, oh, you know, like if there's any jostle or anything that happens that makes us feel like they're going to drop us, then we automatically throw our arms up. And I watch my son do this even when he is in bed. But there's something that happens where he feels this insecurity of some kind, and he throws his arms up like, what? Like maybe there's something to hold on to. I'm still figuring out like what it is that, you know. But what I recognize is this, you know, quick reflex that the body has to make yourself bigger, to, you know, to really like, okay, you know, like brace for impact, maybe, you know, but this like, I'm going to trust that my surroundings are going to take care of me, right? And so we, you know, continue in this way of, as you said, like looking outside of ourselves. But as we get older, you know, we can continue on these paths of, is it over here? Is it over here? Oh my goodness, somebody hold me, right? But as you say, you know, we really do need to start coming with intention into the place, into that part of us that is afraid of falling. And really paying attention to the inner child as well, that gets hurt really easily. You know, like when we're confined with our loved ones, you know, triggers can come up like, where are we going to go? Like all we can do is basically like go for a walk and come home, right? And so, or, you know, go shopping, but you're not supposed to, right? So it's like, we really are being confined, but it's a powerful opportunity for us to go, okay, I'm going to catch myself here. You know, and also listen into the inner child that, you know, what would you have held on to if you had the capacity to hold on to something when you were first born? What would you grasp, right? And I have asked myself this, what, you know, what, when you like really need help, Erin-Sunniva, what do you do? What are you reaching for? And it's love. It's love, right? It's tenderness, it's care. I want you to love me. I want you to hold me. Do not let me go. If you let me go, I don't know what's going to happen, right? And so we have to learn how to, just as you did, hold ourselves and hold especially our inner child. And there are a lot of ways to address the inner child. But when you're working with the mother, the child comes with her. She wouldn't be a mother without the child, right? She wouldn't be a mother without us. She wouldn't exist if her children didn't exist. And so we have to really come back to our innocence. We have to come back to the place before we made any missteps, before we had any confusion, before society made an imprint upon us. That very vulnerable part of us is nothing but love, right? All that children want to do is love, like a puppy dog, right? Like they're just pure love. And so when we take the opportunity to remember that and to also communicate with that part of ourselves, then we have the capacity to also nurture that part of ourselves that doesn't feel safe now, that is worried about money or worried about security now. That worry has a source, and the source is the first time you felt hungry, or the first time that you were worried about where your parents were, or you woke up from a nap and you started screaming because you didn't know what was going on. It all starts with us as children and babies. And so just really recognizing that vulnerable place and communicating with him or her and telling her, you're safe, just as you did. I love you. I got you. It's also important to ask, what do you need and how can I give that to you? Because you as an adult might think you know, but you'll often be very surprised at the answer that you get internally. So I really feel that like starting with the inner child helps to connect to love and to connect to the mother that's in you.
Love it. Oh,
that makes sense.
Yes, that's, oh my gosh, those, like, that right there to me, like, that's at least the message that I needed today, right? And like such a reminder of how, again, how can we use this time to heal? How can we use this time to show up for ourselves? How can we use this time as growth? How can we find certainty in ourselves in the uncertainty? How can we find the safety, right? Like, that's so beautiful. And those questions, Erin, are so powerful. Like, thank you for that gift. Those, I can't wait to go and just to go deeper, right? To like go deeper and show up for myself deeper. And then, like, everyone, please write those down. Like, take those and run with it and give this to yourself. Give this gift to yourself.
And it really is that simple. What do you need? How can I give it to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
How can I give it to you?
And it's also important to recognize the personality filter that you are receiving the information from. So it can really depend on your level of, I guess, listening or, depth. The water really helps you to come into your deeper self, your higher self, right? And your subconscious. Helps you to step away from the conscious mind and just really be with the element that you're surrounding yourself in. And in that place, I love to toning, and I'm a singer, and so making sound is actually like the most potent form of meditation for me personally. So I'll tone for a little bit, and then I'll begin to to pray and to communicate with my higher self or my inner child. And so I could say, just sitting right here, okay, I want to talk to my inner child. I have to do some work in order for her to come out, in order for her to even, like, for me to remove all of my own crap so that I can hear her, and it might not be easy in the beginning, but over time it does, it gets easier.
Yeah, that's that. And that's like, again, that's like learned, right? Like, this is everything that we're talking about. Everything is learned how to do this. Like, even if like, you're like, gosh, I wish that I had that. I wish I knew how to do that. I wish I had access to that. It's just learning.
You have it.
Yeah. We all have it. And so, the question, I guess, that I have is like, so how, when the best, this is more like outside of ourselves, when people outside of us are not showing up as the best version of themselves, how do we not get sucked into it?
Oh gosh. Gosh, the first thing that came to me is really knowing your energy field. Really taking care of your own personal safety first. And, as you're asking the question, I'm pretty much like imagining the situation and seeing what I would personally do. First we have to check our triggers, check in yourself the part that is being, peeved by this other person who's not showing up. That's the first key as to what in you needs to be addressed. So I'll try to give an example. I'll just use my husband as an example. So let's just say that, you know, my husband is, you know, frustrated with being home because usually he goes out and he works a full-time job, and he's frustrated being here, and feels totally unproductive, and you know, he's also worried about work, and we're, you know, honestly in this place of like, oh my gosh, so what's gonna happen, you know? And so he has his own securities that come up, and I have this wonderful opportunity to hold the space of faith, right? To hold the space of like trusting in what's happening, but also recognizing that I am carrying the same fears, right? And so, you know, he may be letting, and I'm not saying that he does this, this is kind of a rhetorical,
Yeah.
but, you know, he might, maybe he starts like spinning out in thoughts and starts to get like more and more negative, or maybe even more and more dark about the world and what's happening and the people who are in places of power, and, you know, what they're up to, you know, and how we're all being affected by, you know, so we're rhetorical or not, right?
Yeah.
But what can we do about it, right? So that's me being like, okay, well, what can I do about this energy right here that he's holding, that's taking him out of his center, right? And so what I usually do is I recognize, am I carrying this too? And if I'm not in my heart, I might feed that energy, right? But if I'm good, if I'm really good, I can, you know, love him, maybe put a hand on him, touch him, and say like, you know, your feelings, this is all so valid. First of all, to really validate what somebody is going through, whether or not you agree with it, because they're expressing something that's really important to express, especially when it comes to fear and anxiety. It's really real for the other, right? And you know, and maybe you're experiencing it as well, and it's really real for you. How do you kind of trip that so that you can come back to trust and faith and love? First, you start with your breath. You validate, right? And then you breathe deep into the belly. And you ask for help. And maybe you're asking for help from your higher self. You know, if you don't feel like you have a relationship with the divine in any way, you always have yourself. And there is more than your physical body here in yourself. And that self can support you, can show up for you in any way that you need. You just have to ask, right? And so I will call upon my higher self, and I do that in different ways of just affirming, I presence my higher self now. I call upon my higher self to come and be with me in this space, be with my husband. Thank you, Creator, for aligning me with my higher self in this moment, you know. And, you know, even just saying that now, there's a sense of calmness that comes over me, because when I tap into my spirit, the spirit is always sure. The spirit always knows that you can trust what's happening. And the more that you can lean into that higher self truth, the anxiety can really literally just fall away and even disappear, as long as you're breathing and leaning into that, you know, that energy that's coming in that might not be hard. If you're having an anxiety attack, right, and you're having a panic attack, it starts with the breath. Shifting that energy starts with the breath. And it can be hard. It can be hard to, like, you know, but even if you're like, one, you know, making yourself take 10 deep breaths and counting them and staying focused, by the time you get to that 10th breath, more likely than not, you are not going to be having that panic attack. And that process, you're activating your parasympathetic parasympathetic nervous system by breathing through your nose. So if you're breathing through your mouth, you're going to make it harder. You know, breathing through your mouth actually can amplify anxiety, but breathing through your nose calms the nervous system and also brings you into that place so that you can receive divine support from yourself or otherwise. But when you're working with another person and you're trying to maintain that space as well, you also need to, you know, delineate yourself from them. You know, my field, your field. It's like Dirty Dancing. They're like, my dance space, your dance space. You know, like we really do need to walk through the world with that reality that's like, I need to contain my space. You're responsible for your space, but I am ultimately responsible for my space. And one of the tools that I use that, I mean, really is very simple, that works with the breath to clarify and fortify my field. I take a deep breath into the belly, and then with sound even, I literally internally from my center push my light out. So I'm inhaling. And so I know when I inhale, I'm tapping into my central core self, my soul that is, you know, anchored into the earth and beyond through the sun and to source, right? And I say right, like you know that, right? You know, maybe you don't, I don't know. But what we can do is we can amplify that soul chord that usually is about like this big, right? This is our prana or our hara in Sanskrit is the central channel that the prana moves through. And so what I'm doing is I'm making my hara, my central core self, bigger. And by doing that, I'm pushing your energy out of my field, right? And I'm securing my light, I'm anchoring my light. Do you want to do this with me?
Yeah.
So take a deep breath into your belly. Take a couple. It might be kind of hard to really, okay, belly. You know, we breathe from the chest like so much. And I'm even recognizing myself because I'm talking so much. It's hard for me to, belly breath. So take a couple belly breaths. And on the next one, bring your hands to your heart and point them out, your palms out. And on a strong exhale, push your field out to just the outside of your frame, your physical frame. And see that light, white light. Maybe there's a light blue or silver in there. Notice what your central core light looks like. Inhale again and extend it out even further. And I want you in that exhalation to feel your belly compressing that air. Like your body is really participating in the movement of this energy, the amplification. Yeah, and just keep doing it. And you know, you could make your field as, you know, as big as the room that you're in, the house or the van that you're in. But really, ultimately, you just want to be fortifying your field within 3 feet. Yeah. So how does that feel?
It's good. It's good. It like, I feel it. And it was also great awareness because my anxiety is higher today, that I was breathing into my chest and not into my belly. So I like felt it and then had to be like, no, belly. And then as soon as you breathe into your belly, yeah, your anxiety lessens. And so the breath is huge.
It's huge. And that belly breath is huge. Our second brain is in the belly. We have more nerve endings at our belly button than we do anywhere else in our body. And so when we're in that expansion and contraction with the belly, we're also participating in calming the nervous system. An interesting fact is that when babies are born and children, they all breathe from their bellies until about 7 or 8 years old, when society really makes its penetrative actions, you know, upon our personalities and egos and our energy field, and we start to move away from that belly breath. And so the more that we can really return to that place, we get to also return to innocence, return to true, authentic self.
I love it. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that's like, everyone, please take that practice, do that for yourself. If you did it with us, like, beautiful, right? And use that. And so, Erin, where can people like learn more about you? Where can they find you? Where can they work with you? Where can they hear about your services and just be in your energy?
Yeah, so my website is divinesinging.com. I am a singer, right? As I said, that's kind of where that came from, but it also has developed for me to understand that what the work that I do is to welcome the divine to sing in the many ways that it does, through you, through me, through, you know, the work that we do together. So the different, you know, work that I do, excuse me, you know, first as a priestess, I hold space as a psychic as well. And so I do soul alchemy, working with the Akashic records, which I can explain what that is. You know, also working with communicating with your soul, your ancestors, your past lives that might be interacting or interfering with your life at this time. And, you know, so I have this clairvoyance, the ability to see all of this. And I also have clairsentience. I have the ability to feel in my body what you're feeling in your body. And, you know, and so that can help me kind of point the way to, you know, what kind of work we need to do on an alchemical level for the soul to transmute and to come back to clarity and purity within the body and within the spirit. Then I also do past life regression. I've been working with my mentor, who's my father, who's a master hypnotherapist, doing past life regression for my clients to really do that ultimate soul healing. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do for the self in this life, but when we really tap in and take care of things that are, you know, more on the higher self level in the way that all of our other lives affect us, we can really do tremendous healing. There's opportunities to heal dis-ease, you know, to heal autoimmune disorders. You know, all of our reality stems from our beliefs. And so when we believe something to our core, including maybe a lack of worthiness, our reality reflects that. And so hypnotherapy and past life regression addresses the beliefs that you're carrying that are affecting your life. Excuse me. So then I also teach voice. So, you know, the highest, I guess, certificate that I have for all of the work that I do is a degree in vocal performance. And so that really, you know, singing classical music really laid the foundation for me to become a sound healer. You know, I graduated, everybody expected me to go pursue opera, you know, and I had no desire. I had no desire to participate in an ego-driven industry. And so I spent my 20s really discovering who I am and drinking a lot of ayahuasca and peeling off the layers and learning how to pray. And so that really helped to create this foundation of the priestess path that I'm walking, that now I'm teaching. So I have my Magdalene mentorship, which I'm so excited that you are participating in.
Yeah.
And that starts next week. Oh my goodness. But, you know, so that is really sharing the foundational work for you to build upon, right? So I can only teach from my experience, right? And, but my experience is pretty vast, kind of holistic as well. So I'm teaching, you know, earth medicine, holding sacred space, you know, what does it mean to be a witness, the different levels of witnessing and holding space for others, that multiple level of containment within the self and harnessing energy, and, you know, the foundations of the magical realm, working with the elements, working with the earth, and knowing how to call upon things or to get rid of things, doing ultimate clearing with the divine light, working with Archangel Michael and doing soul healing and soul retrieval as well, doing the divine feminine work as well, deep womb healing work. You know, there's a lot to it. And so you can go to divinesinging.com and see the Magdalene mentorship page and see all, you know, all of that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there was just
Okay.
there was some the computer was talking to me.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, the Zoom lady was talking to me. So yeah, so divinesinging.com will tell you, and I do have 2 spaces left. It's a very small, intimate circle. And so there's lecture, there's private time with me every week for 10 weeks. And then there's circle every Friday through Zoom where we connect, where we practice, and where we ask questions and grow together.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for it. And so, Erin, thank you so much. Thank you for your light and your love and your wisdom and your guidance. And so is there anything else that you want, a message, a guided thought, anything that you want to leave everyone listening with today?
Well, you know, in this time of really huge uncertainty, it's really important for us to find the places of calm and quiet so that we can listen to wisdom. There's an opportunity that we have right now to connect to the collective consciousness. And there's actually a part of our outer atmosphere of the earth called the noosphere that is the energy, the frequency of the collective consciousness. It's been measured, scientifically measured. It's an actual tangible thing. And so through guidance, through meditation, and I will probably create a guided meditation to do this, but we did this last week in our sisterhood circle so that we could have a better view of what's happening, right? I experienced a magnificent amount of love and connection that's happening on the global scale right now. So even at the same time that I could feel the panic and the fear and the sadness and the grief that the world is going through right now, I could also feel greater than that, the communities that are forming, the love that is building, and the trust that is also growing. And so I encourage folks to you know, find ways to tap into the energy that we're all here in together. So we can do our work on our own, by ourselves, internally, which is super important and necessary, but it's also important for us to be encouraging to the collective and reminding others who are spinning out in fear that ultimately it comes down to us and our relationship to each other. It's not about a greater power that has force over us. It is about the power of our spirits and our ability to manifest and form our future. This is a dynamic point in human history where we can collectively choose something better than we have right now. And we have to do that starting on the inside. But we take that, like really visualize what, out of this, let's say that our economy totally collapses. And we have to come back to some sort of, small, tight-knit, community-oriented tribalism of some kind where we have to really rely on each other. How would you like that to look? Or maybe that's not what you want to create. Maybe you want to go along with that, some really powerful changes are happening and the hearts of the leaders are healing and they want free energy and they, it's like everybody can be released from the systems that we've created so far and let these systems fall apart and create something new. I want to encourage all of the viewers today and future to know what it is that you want, what you want to see, what you want to feel and experience. Feel it in your body, know it in your mind and your heart, and let it manifest and encourage other people to do the same, because we can really make an impact on our reality and on other people's lives and worlds as well by trusting in what's happening, trusting in what we can create together from that place of love and security.
So good. It is. This is such an opportunity, right? And honoring and recognizing the sadness and the grief that people are going through and seeing that this is still an opportunity and that we will come out on the other side and we are being asked to come together. And so thank you for spending this time with us, for just every piece of love and light that you gave us today. I'm so grateful. So everyone, please reach out to Erin. Please share with her your, what came up for you, share with us what came up, and please share this with someone who needs it. So we create and make a message into a movement by sharing, by inviting, by spreading this message. So thank you so much for joining us. And then we will see you, or I will see you tomorrow at the same time as we continue these Leaning into Love conversations. So thank you. And I will talk to you guys soon.